So first of all, guys, I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. This is Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Part 2, Episode 6. I believe legacy-wise and what it is in the total of Season 2, it's like 16, 17-ish. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, this is what you would like to call the turning point. And in the turning point, interesting things happen. So I'm going to try to summarize it the best I can. And I always recommend watching the show as soon as you can or watching the specific episode because it's always better than the way I can describe it. This is to get you a little juice, a little fuel, and if you're really interested in the topic, it's always fun to hear someone else's perspective on what they just saw. So this was an amazing episode, and I loved it very, very much. To start things off, it really starts like this. He's trying to spend time with both of his sisters, Rudis and gosh, I have to look at the names real quick. Don't crush me, guys. It is Norn. So, Brutus and Norn are both in the library and they're basically studying. Brutus is working on his own little thing, and Norn is working on her homework, of course. Anyway, what Brutus is working on is a book about the Superid clan, and that is to bring some hope and regard to being taken in by everyone else and spreading the word about him and how great of a person he really is. So that's like the whole plan is to bring him back into society through the book. It's going to be like a long tale that's going to go down for generation to generation. And he's thinking about, oh, I could do a comic book, I could do like a manga. You know what I mean? It's just like he's thinking about the scenarios on how to do it. He doesn't have much written. And Norn takes very much interest to him. She thinks very highly of him so far as we've seen. And she's heard a lot of his stories. And she figures out that Rudis is writing the book, and so she wants to actually join in and help write the book. Rudis agrees, and yeah, there's the little action between them. So moving on, we go back to the house, and Aisha's cleaning, and as she's cleaning, Rudis looks at her and he says something to her. He's like, if you ever need time off for work or anything, or ever need anything, just let me know. And Aisha just kind of looks kind of like, I guess you could say this like doesn't really talk much. It's just kind of like trying to be kind of blah. Anyway, what she asked for is to be paid, and so what happens is that they go out to shop, and she actually only wants pots for her plants, and the plants are actually from her travels to get to Rudy. And so the big thing about that is that Rudis also needs to conjure up some soil. And yeah, they kind of come in agreement. After that, they go to a store, and I guess it's some type of like bedroom shop. I thought at first it was a carpet shop, but it's like some type of drape in your room. And she's kind of haggling with the shopper guy. And what she says is like, "This is the legendary Rudis. She knows he knows Princess Ariel, like all this other stuff to lower the price, and she gets the lower price. And Rudis is like, "Hey, if you don't have enough, just let me know." And anyway, she just had to write him out. So she basically haggled him into what she had. She's smart. After that, she's having a thought. She's like, Mom told me that I can't decorate the home myself, as a maid. And anyway, Rudy's like, no, it's okay. You're my sister. He doesn't think of her as like just a house worker, not as if she's just like some work slave or some worker in his home. It's his sister, foremost and for all. So she gets back and we get to see her hang up the little thing in her, it's like above her bed. And yeah, it was just really cute and she was happy. From there, we kind of jump around quite a bit. We get to see that Cliff is actually working on this contraption to help Elise in her curse, and it's not cured it completely. I think it's like 7 weeks or something like that longer. And now they want to test Rudy and see if he can help fix that and make it further go by using his magic. And yeah, don't really know about much about the contraption. So I also forgot to mention that Sonoba gave a figurine to, give me a second, to Julie. So Julie gets a figure and it's a dragon figure. Julie's very cute, and we also get greeted by someone else. So back whenever back whenever Sonoba was ruling his little kingdom, he gave away everything for that one figure. And Ginger was one of his subordinates, one of his guests. I forgot what they call it, but the person that watches over him and takes care of him. So Ginger's back, and Ginger is basically teaching Julie how to be polite and a bunch of other etiquette type things. And she and Rudis had a word about, you know, why'd she come back, and she's like, I promised Sonoba's mom, that I would watch over him and take care of him. And Rudis is like having an inner thought about how he got rid of her just to trade her. I don't know. I think she is very much foremost for him, and nothing should change about that. And I think it's going to help because he's really took a right turn and became more of a man that is admirable. He started off as like a jerk and a big rich baby. From here, we already talked about Cliff, and then we just go back to Rudis living this normal, great life after all this. Everything's just like normal. And this is where it gets really good. So hear me out. There's some spoilers, some major stuff. But life is good. He's living his life. Everything's just normal, and he's just doing day to day where he has friends, he has his wife, and he has his family. And all at once he comes home, and Sylvie Sylvie's at the table along with Aisha. So Aisha and her are both at the table, just sitting down like normal. And Rudis is back home after this big walk or jog. And what happens is she's like, Aisha's like, you need to tell him. And like, it's like, I don't know how to tell her. I don't know. It's just like crazy because what happens is we figure out that Sylvie tells Rudy that she is pregnant. And Rudis is like, oh my god. He's like crying and he's like very happy. This is the happiest we've seen Rudy in for so long. It's just hard to talk about because it's like really emotional in such a little short time. And it's just greatness. I don't They do so much emotionally great things, and it's like this is the turning point. But the thing is like life's looking up after this. So Aisha and her actually went to the doctor to that day, and they figured out that she's become pregnant and she's missed her cycles, and yeah. So that's the big one of the big things that happens this episode. So happy Mother's Day to Sylvie. Moving on, as always, Rudis is sleeping. Or not sleeping. He reads a letter. We're just took to this cut. And this is the most shocking thing. So, there's a letter about Seneth, and they need help. They need help with Seneth. They're in trouble, and he's not supposed to go to this continent. It's just Bagret. Bagret. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's the continent that he can't go to. And that's where Seneth is. And he's needed. So, it's gotten very insane where this whole entire episode's went. It just goes 180 on us all at once. So we have that. Rudis is asleep, and we see the Cloud God once again. And he's describing, like, this, like, what's gonna happen. And nothing's changed since then. Either way, things are gonna get awful, is basically what we hear from him. He's basically telling Rudy, you go there, something's gonna happen, and it's going to be the same turnaround as before. So nothing changed. There's always going to be some type of shock to Rudy. And I don't know what he should do. Honestly, I don't know what Rudy should do here. I think, well, we already know what Rudy's going to do at this point, but at this point, I didn't know. I thought maybe he would go with it. Apparently, the advice that he gave him, now this gets weird. This is 180, but it's to wait till the next mating season, and then he's going to get challenged by a duel by his two animal friends, and then after that he has to try to mate with one of them. And it's like he basically says this is whenever you're going to meet true happiness. I'm just like, what are you talking about? What is this man telling him? And that was the last advice. He wakes up and like cold sweats, and like Sylvie's like, what's wrong? Is it that letter? It's like everyone, including your sisters, are shocked and upset. And Rudy just doesn't know what to do. We don't get in credits, and he's kind of talking to everyone, and he's getting advice and everything else. And one of the things that happens is Eloise is going to end up going in his spot, and she has to break up with Cliff and break his heart. It just gets crazy. You know, it's hard to describe because this is like one of those episodes where you have to see it to see it. It's just good. All the turning points are always really good. This and then after that he talks to Sonoma and Sonoma gives him some advice. He's like, I can't go and Julie can't go. She's too frail basically. And that's where it's like, I'll help protect your family. But what he says is that, you know, your child can always grow even if the father's not there. So I don't know if that's foreseeing something from his perspective, but this Cloud guy, Rudy does not like him at all. Rudy does not like him. They do not get along, and he gives advice that's really bad in like hindsight, but it always kind of works out. And what happens is that Rudy doesn't know what to do still. He knows what's right, and he's thinking about it that night what to do. And he's looking around in the house while everyone's asleep, and we get to see that Norm is still awake as he opens her door and closes it. It's kind of like this thing where Rudy is unsure of what to do, and we all are like, "Oh, he's gonna do it then and there," but he still didn't know what to do. So next morning comes around. Basically, he goes outside and he's just kind of hanging out there having thoughts, and his sister comes out of nowhere. You'll never guess which one. It's Norn. Norn has a backpack on. She goes out. She falls down, and yeah, she's like, Rudy, you're so strong and you can travel. Like, why don't you do this? Why can't you do this? Why can't you save her parents? And anyway, Rudy kind of gets convinced into doing this. And the thing is, from the Cloud God, we know this probably isn't the truthful thing to do exactly. It's kind of like, what should Rudy actually do? And what are the consequences? Like, what's the point of him cheating on the like? What's the point of him cheating at all? And how is he gonna be happier? Does that mean he's not gonna be able, or, or does that mean he's gonna meet another female, and then it's gonna become harder? So he's still married technically, and he hasn't cheated, but he's gonna cheat with someone else dear. I don't know. That's just what I think. So there's a possibility that he can get back with someone else from the past. And we only have one other person that we know for sure, our favorite witch. We just have wonders that she's gonna come back, and if she does, it's gonna change things. But I don't know. Mushoku Tensei, one of the things they do is that we never get to see the bad ends, and we see the good ends. Sometimes we get to see the bad ends, because right now it's looking bad for Rudy, because this is a bad turning point. Tell me what you guys thought. Do you think this is gonna work out? Do you think it's like 180 because he's talked to Norn and made things a little different? I don't think he can change it. I think the Cloud God has been so right that there's no way he can be wrong. I don't know. Your thoughts, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys stay safe and peace.